Okay, so one thing I've noticed during releases of Friday the 13th Part 2 is that none of them have had an audio commentary, and considering the fact that this is one of the better movies in the entire series, I see that as a bit of a problem. So here I am. This is the first audio commentary I've ever recorded, so just bear with me. So if you want to watch along, to make it easier to follow what exactly I'm talking about and reacting to at any specific time, sync your copy up to 000 and press play now. So the first time I saw this was when I was about 4 years old. My grandmother had a collection of VHS tapes and a few Betamax, even though she didn't have a Betamax player. And she just kind of let me have unsupervised access to it for some reason. And so I stumbled upon Friday the 13th Part 2, and the cover of the VHS, it was the 1988 release, which is still my favorite VHS release of it, even though the gatefold has the cooler case. And the cover of it just caught my attention, and I watched it, and it didn't really scare me, but I definitely, cliched as it sounds, had some trouble sleeping that night. And my solution to that was to watch the original Carrie, also on VHS, the following day. And then the next weekend, when I went back over to her place, is when I saw the original Halloween. So, first 3 horror movies I ever saw: Friday the 13th Part 2, Carrie, Halloween. This opening, I love the look of this opening. It just, like, the whole movie really has this unique look to it compared to a lot of the other movies in the series. It doesn't feel as cold, even though it's raining and gloomy. And I also love that there's this dream sequence, which is really just an extended flashback of chunks of the third act of the first movie. And when I first saw this, I was like, who are these people? What is this? I had no idea about Jason or Mrs. Voorhees or the story or anything like that. And I totally went into this blind, having not started kindergarten yet. And I'm kind of glad that they included this little recap at the beginning. Betsy is so good in all of that. Like, the recap stuff doesn't really do it justice. But yeah, I'm glad that they included the recap at the beginning, because without that I would have been kind of lost. Like, who is this lady? Why is this guy coming into her apartment to kill her? This kind of explains it a little well. And even with the flashback footage, the way that the film looks, it looks warmer. Like, it looks more warm than it did in the original. Savini's Jason makeup, which a lot of detail went into the original Jason makeup, even though you only see it on screen for like 2 seconds at a time. Like, even the ending of the first one where he pulls her into the water, it doesn't really focus on his face all that much. It just goes straight to, like, whoop, jumps out of the water, pulls her in, and that's it. Aw, there's Annie. Poor Annie. And Steve. Which I've never really been that fond of the death order of the first movie. Like, 2 of the final 3 left standing in the first movie, not counting Mrs. Voorhees, were 2 of my least favorites of the main 8 characters. pretty much all of my favorites died before the 60-minute mark. Marcy, Brenda, basically all 4 women, and Jack were my 5 favorites in the original. That looked painful. I love that look on her face. Yeah, it even looks bloodier somehow, even though it's the same shot as it was in the original. It somehow looks bloodier here. And unfortunately, we don't get to see the hairy, knuckled hands coming up. I definitely like the look of this one more than the first one. And one of the most iconic shots of the series. And random, I've tried to get my hair to have the exact same look and style as hers. Has not worked. That seriously looks like one of the most uncomfortable pillows to take a nap on. Yeah, this opening recap, I think, was perfectly done, because even though a 4-year-old could understand it. That's how simple, yeah, effective it is. It's like, a 4-year-old can grasp it. Like, this fully gets us up to speed. Technically don't have to see the first movie to get it. Of course, having not seen the first movie, I love the concrete shelf. Having not seen the first movie before this one, I didn't really get to have, like, any kind of emotional attachment to Alice. That came a couple years later, because I saw the first one for the first time when I was, like, 7 or 8. The emotional attachment to her as a character came then, but at that time it was kind of, like, sad, because it was like, oh, well, she's gonna survive this, I know how this ends, I've seen the ending. But she goes through all of this just to get ice picked in her kitchen. Her place looks pretty cozy. And just overloaded with plants. Some people would say, oh, it's cluttered. No, I think it feels cozy. I say as I'm surrounded by shelves and hats and movies and books all over the place. Conversation with her mom, establishing that she's still dealing with the trauma of what happened a few months prior, which is understandable. Not sure what that painting or poster was. Also really digging this kitchen. And her paintings, which I wonder if Adrienne herself painted that was on the table. And that's like, I like how that was almost like a fake out, because I'm sure that, like, tons of horn dogs that went to see this back in 1981 where they saw the clothes being thrown on the bed and probably thought, like, oh, we're gonna see some tits. Nope. fastest, most tastefully done shower scene in the history of shower scenes. What I want to know is, when did Jason and how did Jason get her phone number? And since when did why does Jason call her? And this is the only time in the franchise that he calls a phone. Like, they never address that or follow up on that or anything. And it kind of feels like at this point they're still figuring out the character's intelligence level. And at this point, I've always been a believer that he did not actually drown, and that he nearly drowned, washed up on the other side of the lake, never found his way back home or back to the camp, and had to kind of raise himself in the wilderness. And the commotion and everything going on at Camp Crystal Lake drew him back to the area, and that is when he witnessed Alice decapitating his mom. But I've noticed most fans don't see it that way. Like, a lot of people think that, there's been supernatural elements from the get-go. And I know that Jason Goes to Hell kind of establishes that, like, Pamela resurrected Jason. Jason may very well be a Deadite because of the Book of the Dead and everything. That's always been kind of iffy for me. Okay, now who threw that cat? Oh, that looks a lot like my cat. This is actually my first time watching this since I got my cat, Kai. And, yeah, not intentional, but he just so happens to look a lot like that cat. Why did he put her head in the fridge? Aww. And there she goes. And 11 minutes and 50 seconds before the first kill is that's a pretty long wait for a Friday the 13th. Especially after the fourth one, when they stop doing the recap sort of thing at the beginning. I love the exploding title. And I've always been a fan of the plain opening credits. Just black background, white text. It works. I like it a lot more than the opening credit scenes of all of them pretty much after the seventh one. And the music in this one is the best, by far. Production designer Virginia Field, who I'm assuming Ginny was named after. Carl Fullerton, whose effects in this are great, but it sort of got butchered, this one. It doesn't, watching it, the first couple times, it didn't feel butchered. And, of course, before the internet, and before all the books and everything about the making of these movies, and His Name Was Jason and Crystal Lake Memories documentaries, I had no idea that so much of the effects shots were, so many of them were cut out. But no, there's something like a minute, at least, of just the kills cut out of this. So as a result, most of them are pretty choppy, they go by pretty quickly, but they still pack a punch, and they're still effective because of the editing. But there's so many really, really good effect shots that are just not in this. And they found the footage and they included that on the Scream Factory Blu-ray box set. But it's so damaged and there's no sound that it would probably take a lot to be able to incorporate them back into the movie. So, as a special feature, they will probably remain. But there's the really cool shot of the ice pick just going through Alice's temple and, like, out her nose. Like, it goes through the side of her nose. Also like that Ted is basically just a remake of the Ned character from the first one, but kind of perfected. And he survives. He's probably I think he's the only, like, practical Joker type character in one of these movies to actually survive. Simply because he's not there. Very, very, very unobservant, these two. Like, I may not be able to notice that sort of thing in the background, but if that were my vehicle, I would have noticed a lot sooner than they did. Love how he's just ignoring him while he's freaking out. That's a nice truck. That is not a nice shirt. Yeah, this trio is pretty much the Jack, Marcy, and Ned of this movie. Like, right away, right out of the gate, the sequels started copying the previous movie's characters. Part 7 and Part 8 are really, really big when it comes to having almost the exact same character types. Like, both of them, nice mother/motherly figure. Oh, there's a nerdy girl with a bitchy best friend. Oh, there's an older guy who is a total douchebag and is basically sabotaging the main female character. And there's the nice guy boyfriend who isn't all that interesting but still survives. I got in trouble in elementary school for telling this joke in class. Where did you hear that? Yeah, that definitely doesn't look like it doesn't look like it just fell off a tree. This one also goes by really, really quickly. Like, we're already almost 20 minutes in, and we haven't even introduced 2/3 of the characters yet. Definitely seems like this had the shortest script out of all of them. Another good POV shot. And finally, after 20 minutes, we are at the main location, which is sadly not in existence anymore. And it's always bummed me out that this place was torn down. Because this one, this is my favorite location of any of the movies. I love the main cabin. I love all the little tiny cabins. Even playing the game, Packanack is my favorite location to play on. No, Muffin. And these two. First woman in a movie that I had the hots for, and the first guy. It took me years to notice that he actually winked at her because the VHS I had was so worn and not that great quality. I wonder how many people were disappointed in 1981 when they went to see this and they saw like this giant group of counselors, and only for it to turn out, oh yeah, only 6 or 7 of them are gonna die. Because seeing such a big group of characters in a slasher movie, that typically means giant body count. Nope, this has the same body count as the first film, and that's if you see Paul as being dead, which I know some people do, some people don't. I'm in the camp of, yeah, Paul's dead. Which that's a whole big thing that we'll get to later, is whether or not, like, just how much of the ending was a dream and how much actually happened. Or if any of it was a dream. And there's Ginny, favorite final girl of the series. And the first of 3 Beatles in the series. Part 3, Part 6 also have them. My least favorite cabin to get stuck in the game, this one. And one thing I've noticed about the Friday the 13th movies is that they kind of go against, like, if you really think about it, they kind of go against the whole, oh, if you have sex or smoke weed or drink alcohol or whatever, you're gonna die. No, this woman drinks, she's sexually active, though maybe not during the course of the film, and she has a relationship going on with her boss. And she probably smokes weed as well. So, by typical slasher standards, she should be a dead woman walking, but no, she's the most intelligent character, and she survives. And with the first one, Alice and Bill kind of had a thing going on. Alice and Steve kind of sort of had a one-sided thing going on that's never fully explained. Alice was playing strip Monopoly with one of the guys and another woman, and drinking, and smoking weed. Contrary to what everybody hears, bears are dangerous. Me watching this as a kid, what's a menstrual cycle? I like that there's that one little line that establishes, oh, child psychology, that might come in handy later. do kind of wish that maybe there had been one or two more quick scenes in between that and this. Probably my favorite around the campfire scene in general. Yeah, there's gotta be at least like 15 or 16 people there. And part 3, a lot of people say that part 3 had the first black characters in the series. Technically, no. Technically, this one does. But he never really gets to say or do anything. But he also is technically the first black person to survive a Friday the 13th movie. Very, very strangely attractive moment. And a great jump scare, and a great way of establishing an unusual weapon. I wonder where that mask came from. And I'm kind of surprised I haven't seen anybody recreating that, whether it's Trick or Treat Studios or just independent mask makers. I've never seen that mask made by anybody. Love that he has to pop his collar before talking to her. Was that just popcorn just sitting on the floor? And when I was little and I first saw this, I thought that those were all wheelchairs for some reason up against the side of the main cabin. And all four of those people in the background survive. This kind of tricked me at first, her going off alone, because even though I had only ever seen 25 minutes or so of a horror movie before this scene, I figured, oh, being alone, bad. And she's not quite established as the main character yet. And anybody who had seen the first one before this may have thought, oh, she's gonna go first, similar to how Annie had quite a bit to do for the first, 15-20 minutes of the original, but got killed anyway. Some people probably thought, oh, that would be the case with her. Thankfully, it's not. More very warm colors and lighting. Though a lot of the decor and the little knickknacks and stuff, they're very, very grandma's house. Like that in the background. That feels like something that you would see in a grandmother's house in that time period. Oh, Ralph. He really, really didn't have much to do in this. Altogether, I think he has fewer than 60 seconds of screen time in this whole thing. Almost feels like his inclusion and him being dispatched so early on was basically just, oh, we gotta quickly tie a loose end, kill another returning character to show that we're really not messing around this time. And see, even the cut down version of that kill was really good. Yeah, he can't very well jog with everybody else. More POV. I wonder how many minutes of this are just POV shots from Jason or somebody else. Usually Jason. And this is about where it becomes clear, oh yeah, she is the main character. Because from here onward, it's definitely focusing on her a lot more than anybody else in this. I love that. It's like pitch black humor. Dog about to be murdered. Hot dogs. Establishing the chainsaw that's gonna come in handy later. The first of two instances of someone using a chainsaw to fight back against one of the killers in the franchise. But a chainsaw has never been used by a killer in this series. I used to have pretty much that exact same shirt. Still being watched. Yeah, he's really honing in on her. Crystal Lake definitely seems a bit bigger than it did in the first movie. But of course, by part 8, it has expanded to the point where people can get to Manhattan from from New Jersey. I've always figured that maybe Crystal Lake was meant to be the size of Lake Lanier or something. I've heard a lot of people say that they don't buy the fact that all these different locations, even just between parts 2, 3, and 4, they don't buy that all those locations could be around the same lake. I buy it. I don't think it's that unbelievable. God, more bad jokes. Another joke that I would tell people. So when I was a kid, I watched this all the time to the point where I had basically the entire movie memorized. And so I would tell a lot of the jokes and the one-liners and kind of inappropriate things to people that I knew who were about my age at the time and were not allowed to watch movies like this until I introduced the movies to them. Not sure how they did not notice him standing there. Yeah, that's the kind of ASMR that I like. Just the crunching of the shoes. No. See, I like to think that that's not actually Muffin. I refuse to believe that's Muffin. I like to think that the ending actually happened. Paul just not in the mood. The next county over has another lake? How many lakes are there in New Jersey? I love how it's not even no dessert, it's no seconds on dessert. Never noticed that little flower garden off to the side before now. Just so happened to run across at that exact moment. Perfect timing. One thing that gets me is this is a cop. He had to have told someone that he was going to the camp to talk to whoever is running the counselor training program. Wouldn't somebody have thought, he hasn't been back in several hours. Like, there should have been police in the area way before the point where they actually show up, which is the following morning. Oh, that puddle. We see that puddle quite a few times. So that's twice. I believe we see that like 2 or 3 more times toward the end of the movie. Puddle has more screen time than some of the counselors. And this little shack is awesome. And it doesn't really address it, but I've always wondered, like, is this supposed to be one of the cabins from the first movie? And if so, which one exactly? Ugh. Like, was that the... No, it couldn't have been. It wouldn't have been. Thinking out loud, was that the pantry that Pamela was hacking through to get to Alice in the first one? But no, this shack is way, way, way too small to be that cabin. And that was one of those rare kills that I feel it was made more effective by being cut down. Because the extended version of that one kind of lingers a little bit, focuses more on his facial expressions, and him dying a bit more slowly. But with this, the editing is perfect for that. Ah, Rainbow Suspenders. Is he also the first queer character of the series? That's a cute outfit, Vicky's. The later she changes outfits, and it's a huge, huge downgrade when it comes to what she's wearing. Like the panties. The panties, that's just fucking hilarious to me. I don't think that's legal. That's creepy. Especially because at this point we don't know that he's wearing the sack over his head, so it's just like, why does his shadow look so lumpy and weird? And that scene right before the larger group split off and left, I like that because it's basically just, in a way, telling us, okay, this one's going to live, this one's going to die. Oh, they're getting up from the table and they're leaving. Okay, they're going to live. But we don't know it at the time. Because I feel like at this point, first time watch for most people, they're probably expecting most of those people to be on the chopping block at some point. So with this film, the message is, yes, do drink, do go out partying, do go to the bar casino hybrid, and you'll be fine. Yeah, there's no way I would go skinny dipping in that, especially in the middle of the night. That already just does not seem like a good idea. This is probably the scene where skinny dipping does get a bit of a bad reputation in slasher movies. Because I can't really think of an earlier case of, oh, skinny dipping equals death. Maybe in Bay of Blood, which this also copies 3 of its kills from. Later, Scooter. God, why is every chair in this building different? And before the Switch, we had these. That's just mean. One of the only times in the whole series that there's any kind of full frontal nudity. See, now it's like, okay, he is a total fucking pervert, he's a creep, this is kind of a gross situation. And he just so happened to step in the exact perfect spot for that to somehow go off and wrap around his legs. I don't know if that was supposed to be a POV shot from Jason, but just the thought of him just in the bushes watching her and then all of a sudden just a shirt hits him in the face, that's funny. And the build up here is great, but I wish that they had milked it a little bit longer. Ugh. I love that he cuts him with the wrong side of the machete. That, like, almost makes it better. And that was another one where it's like, that was heavily, heavily cut down. It was like something like 8 seconds or so of just the blood pouring, just cascading from him and dripping all over the place, and his face was covered in blood. But that was all cut. Still effective, though. She totally would have seen all that blood, though. Hanging upside down like that, yeah, a lot more blood. Perfect transition. And I know a lot of people hate off-screen kills, but I feel like that is the perfect example of an off-screen kill actually working more than it probably would have if it had been on-screen. Because later we see her body, and she looks fine. Like, you don't really see what happened to her. So it's like, with her, what did Jason do? Did he just strangle her? Did he break her neck? Whatever. I can see the Shurar guy in the background. And how many beers is that? About a dozen? Ah, Kiss Pinball Machine. Can't really tell what that other one is, though. See, she's drinking. I love this little analysis of Jason as a person. I can see how it comes across as like, oh, so she's just buzzed and rambling about Jason. But she does have a point. Like, everything she's saying is pretty much spot on. That look. See, this can't really be a POV because that's quite high off the ground. So that wouldn't be Jason watching them through the windows. Yeah, this area is kind of like hunting lodge decor, but a lot of other parts are just like Granny's house decor. What is in that bowl? Another of the first guys I ever found attractive, Mark. Also, he gets more backstory here than pretty much every other character does. Seductive harmonica playing. His turn to get a shirt thrown on his face. Yeah, I think these two and Ginny are probably my 3 favorites of the movie. Like, look at them. They're adorable. Be right back. I'm gonna go change into a worse outfit. This also had me calling people turkey for a while. Cute purple thing? Nah. Big old bulky sweater. That little postcard thing with what looks like a bird on it. Never noticed that before. See, I like that attention to detail of there being dog leashes hanging up. Yeah, Yeah, this one totally speeds by. It's already been an hour. Very weird lightning. And a lot of things on those walls that could have been used as weapons and would have been pretty cool, but are never used. Though we do get a pitchfork later, but I don't know if it's that pitchfork. Okay, Mark, why would she be out there? Go back inside. Ah, once again, gets him with the wrong side of it. Unless that's like a sugarcane machete or something. So that's 6 down. 6 down after 1 hour and 2 minutes, I think. Like, by this point in the original, there were only 2 people left. So I definitely think that this is a bit... It's a bit better paced than the original, because one of my only big complaints about the first film is that it kind of wipes out most of the characters before the 60-minute mark, and so it's like 30 full minutes where there's like no big on-screen kills, anything really. Just the final confrontation between Alice and Mrs. Voorhees, and that's it. With this, it's like they saved all but like 3 of the kills for the last half hour of the movie. The first one is definitely not as bad as, say, The Prowler, though. I love The Prowler. It's a great movie, but I don't like that with that one, it's like 4 or 5 of the 8 kills are in the first 20 minutes of that movie. Up. Double impalement, straight out of Bay of Blood. So now it's jumped from 6 down to 8 down. See, I want to know who Ted was talking about. Who was he calling ugly? Yeah, I think I'd have stayed at the casino bar for a little while longer. I wouldn't be going back just yet. Which I believe that this place burned down a while after this was filmed. So I don't really think that all that many of the locations in this at all are still standing. I'll have to do a little bit of rabbit holing about the houses, about Alice's house in the first movie. Or the first scene. Okay, I guess it's not a terrible outfit. And this is one of the scariest parts of the entire franchise, in my opinion. Ouch. God, and that nail. That nail bothers me more than pretty much everything else. Because that's just, that looks painful. And the leg slash was pretty great. 9 down. I've always been bummed that Vicky dies. It's like, of course she's gonna die. Like, at this point, it's like, yes, obviously, Ginny is the focus. Ginny's the final girl. But I've always been really fond of Vicky. I was always, like, part of me wishing that, oh, Vicky had made it out too, but no. But at least she made it to the last 20 minutes. Which is more than I can say for most of my, like, favorite secondary characters in this series. Because a lot of the time, my favorite characters, aside from the final girl, they don't even get to the 60-minute mark of one of these. Like Mrs. Jarvis in the 4th movie. Totally my favorite. 55 minutes in, she dies off screen. Maddie, part 7. Nope, she makes it like 48, 49 minutes. These kids smoke better dope than I do. Yeah, see, that right there would be an immediate, nope, call the cops. Oh, the power's out now? Okay, let's leave. Like that, I would not have gotten, oh, this is a prank from. But I'm also kind of paranoid, so. See, yet another different chair. I swear, every chair in this building is different. There's been at least 5 different kinds of chair. I want that Coca-Cola machine. Oh, this is brighter. I'm watching the Blu-ray of this, and yeah, this attack/fight scene in the main room, it's better lit than I remembered it being. Oh, there's a taxidermied fox I never noticed. Yeah, this is a scene that I kind of wish had stayed dark. Like, a bit darker than it actually is. And on the VHS copies of this I've seen, that scene almost looked pitch black. And the part where Jason is rising up before he pounces on Paul, like, on the VHS, like, my copies, like, you just see, like, the sack, kind of. You see the whiteness of the sack before he pounces. That, to me, is scarier than, you know, better transfers where you can see it more clearly. That jump scare has gotten me a couple times watching this. That and the cat. Like, for some reason, even during rewatches, those have gotten me. And I remember, like, 4 or 5 years ago, I watched part 2. I watched this one with headphones on, and it was on my laptop, and the cat scare made me physically jump. And I was kind of like, yes, it still got me. Even though by that point I had seen this at least 50 times. You know, maybe that was the pitchfork that was hanging on the wall. And Ralph's body that somehow nobody had noticed for 24 hours in that pantry. I'm guessing none of these people cook. I love that sweeping camera, like, as it's, like, following her to the car. Always want more shots like that. And to me, this is the perfect final girl confrontation slash chase slash ending. It's just like, this whole 15-minute chunk is just constantly going and going and going, and there's not really any downtime. And when there are quiet moments, like when she's hiding under the bed and stuff, but like those aren't just empty moments. Those are actually suspenseful scenes. So it's like this really, really got the whole final girl chase sequence. It nailed it. And to me, like, there's a lot of qualities, like a lot of things about this movie that it sort of feels like they took good things about the first one and made them great. Like, it kind of perfected the formula a bit in general. Because in a lot of ways, this is kind of a copy of the first one. There's a lot of things that sort of mirror the first one and are lifted from the first one, but just done better. I love how Vicky just left a random cup on her dashboard for no reason. I guess that's a realistic touch because, like, who doesn't have some kind of trash just, like, on their floor or something in their car? Like, I'll take care of this next time I'm in the car, I guess. This looks a lot like the area where, Trish and Mrs. Jarvis are jogging in the fourth one. I don't think it's supposed to be the same area, but it definitely looks like it. And that part of him jumping and just almost landing on her, that's another really good scare. And see, right here, like, that part of just them running and the shots of the moon and everything, that was a lift of the first movie where there's that sort of, like, chase, I don't want to say montage, but that little chase moment, and you can hear Mrs. Voorhees, like, the kill her, mommy, kill her. She can't hide. That's a big old New York rat. That's a fat ass rat. Okay, maybe not so big. It looked bigger when it was away from her. And see, that part always confused me. I was like, did she pee? Or did the rat pee? Did it just, like, go up next to her and just take a piss near her? That's gross. But no, I've come to the conclusion, no, I think she pissed her pants. And I can't say I blame her. I probably would have, at the moment where she was running through the woods and he jumped out of the darkness at her. That would have been my piss myself moment. Or maybe even in the car when he was cutting through the roof of it, the top of it with the pitchfork. There's the chainsaw. I love Clumsy Jason. I don't know, Clumsy Jason and, like, actually vulnerable at times Jason just really works for me. There's the puddle. Okay, so we've seen it 3 times now. It's the 3rd time we've seen that puddle. And from this point on, if someone wanted to, they could take this disc out and pop the disc for the 3rd movie in, because the 3rd movie starts with this entire scene. Last week on Friday the 13th. God, this shack is so cool. I don't know if they found this place or if they built this or what, but it was either job well done or a really, really, really good find. What is that door even made out of? Yeah, putting her child psychology to work. I bet that smells terrible. I'm sort of surprised that they got Betsy to come back and do this. Because the critics, like, shredded the first movie, and a lot of people bashed her for being part of it. It's like, kudos to her for doing it, because a lot of people would have been scared away from coming back for a sequel in any way. God, she's so good, even in those little bits. Huh, I can see her breath. Yeah, it feels... It doesn't quite feel like summer anymore. Like, going by being able to see her breath, it's like, what the hell was Vicky doing running around in her panties outside when it was about to start raining if it was that cold? That's... Ugh. Probably my favorite effect shot that was left intact in the movie as it is. It might have been a little bit of blood on the side of her head, I couldn't tell. best slow-mo ever. Yeah, see, that's one good thing about the transfer is, like, you can really see, like, the blood spurting from his shoulder and his collarbone area. Can't really see that on the VHS. And that was a very quick... This is the earliest on in one of these that the killer's been defeated. Like, they took him down 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 40 seconds into it. And if you shave off the recap and the opening credits, there's only been, like, 1 hour and 12 minutes of, like, actually new stuff so far. So yeah, this is short. Like, this is the shortest one, I'm pretty sure. This and part 6. But part 6 doesn't have the recap, so... There's more, quote, new stuff in part 6 than in this one, technically. And there's the puddle for the 4th time. Yeah, I don't think this is a dream. I think most people think that, like, okay, from the time that he closed the door to now, like, that happened, but as soon as it cuts back to the two of them inside right now, this is where the dream starts. I don't think so. I'm a firm believer this happened. That mangled animal in the woods earlier, that was not Muffin. That was just some other animal. This is happening. And when Jason comes crashing through that window in a minute, spoiler, though you should have seen this already, that's when Paul dies. And Jason severely injures Jenny, Muffin runs away and survives, and Jason thinks that he's killed Jenny, but he hasn't. And that the shot in part 3... that's not in this movie, but is new to part 3, of Jason kind of, like, waking up right after the two of them left the shack, and he lays the machete down next to himself and gets up off the floor. That kind of lends to what I'm thinking. Like, yeah, if he did that then, he would have had time to kind of hobble over to this cabin and burst through at them and do his thing that we don't see. So yeah, see, there's Muffin, alive and well, as she's been this whole time. See, Muffin's just a smart dog. She knew that there was some bullshit happening in the camp, and she hightailed it out of there for now. But now the coast is clear. This is fucking great. This traumatized me as a kid. This is the one part that actually, like, freaked me out when I saw this as a little kid. Oh, those teeth. And the eye, and just, oh. So good. And there was, like, noises he's making. Ugh. Oh, but wait. That kind of goes against it a little bit. Because that shot in part 3 is sort of a fuck up then. Because he had the machete sticking out just now. But in part 3, we see him put it down. So I don't know. I still think that happened, though. I'll still die on that hill. Part 3 made that plot hole. This didn't. Oh yeah, she does have a head wound of some kind. I'm so glad they didn't go with the cheesy ending of her opening her eyes and, like, winking or whatever that they were gonna go with. This is better. It's still grounded in reality, still makes sense, isn't goofy, isn't a literal wink at the audience. And I've read things that were like, oh yeah, her winking at the audience would have been sending a signal to the audience that, like, oh yeah, Paul's dead. And it's like, how? I wouldn't have gotten that from that. Dawn Animal Agency of New York. Martin Kitrosser, a person who was referenced, I think it was Kill Bill Volume 2, where there's that little cute classroom bit after the bride's real name is revealed. Marty Kitrosser is one of the names that the teacher calls out before getting to Beatrix Kiddo. But yeah, for me, this still holds up. This is my second favorite of the franchise. My ranking is Final Chapter, Part 2, Jason Lives, the original, 3, 7, the reboot, X, Jason Goes to Hell, and then 5, Freddy vs. Jason, and 8. But yeah, that will be it. Thanks for watching / listening with me, and I'll definitely be covering the rest of the series.